Hello, and welcome to the Good, Bad, or Bullshit podcast. This is a podcast where we review random topics. We have an unrehearsed conversation about that topic, and then we provide that topic with a quality review, either good, bad, or bullshit, as the title suggests. My name is Mike Hodgins. I'm one of your three hosts on this show, along with, of course, Dungeon Master Bo Schwartz.
You enter a room. There are two doors, and there's a table, and it has a book on it.
I cut it in half with my axe. That's
all right.
That's
Roll
the
an attack
intro
roll.
of Crofton Steers.
Hey guys, Barbarian Crofton here in his house. How you doing?
Well, you're not doing so good after rolling that critical one. You slip on a turd that you didn't spot on the ground, and the axe goes flying into the air. You fall on your back, and the axe then sinks itself into your chest, and you die.
That was a short podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess we're giving a little prop to Bo's There Will Be Dungeons podcast, which seems to be off to a roaring start. Bo?
Yeah. Oh, hey, did I plugged it last time?
Did you
but hey,
ever?
it's a couple
Yeah,
episodes
but we'll
in.
do it right at the top. Therewillbedungeons.com. I'm dungeon mastering a Dungeons and Dragons podcast. It's long, it's hard, it's good, it's very entertaining.
It's sort of like the
Great
antithesis
characters.
of this show.
Yeah.
As Bo pointed out before we started recording.
It show's good
Actually,
in its own
you know,
way.
To be
But-
fair, we're long too.
Yeah. Yeah. We've been going long lately quite a bit, actually.
Which is sort of surprising. I went through our last few topics, and I thought they were kind of what I would classify as fluff topics. I'm hoping for something with a little bit more meat today, but we'll see what the machine says.
You're always an expert fluffer. Should we just
This is like another one in the ongoing of Crofton fishing for some kind of future sexual harassment suit. When one of his employees takes him to court for sexual harassment, the lawyer will pull up a laundry list of clips from this show about to describe Crofton's character, and they'll all be these sexual innuendo comments that he makes.
and then I'll be like, "Hey, whoa, objection, Your Honor. Those are out of context. Okay, that one's good."
Yeah. Well.
All right, so we don't have no preamble? Nothing big happening in the world?
Well,
Nothing
for
personal?
those of us watching on the Twitch stream, which you can stream this show live on Twitch, I have a goatee this week. I would tell viewers to enjoy it because it will not be here next week. So this is like the goatee episode for Crofton. I'd also say I moved into a house. I think this is the second episode I film in my new house. It's pretty sweet. I can be loud down here in the basement, so I'm enjoying that. That's pretty good. Yeah, aside from that, things are going good. You guys?
Yeah, I'm doing some drywall in my basement.
It's
Exciting stuff.
For those of you playing the Good, Bad, or Bullshit drinking game, take a drink as Mike is working with drywall, which I feel like there's about 1 1/3 chance you're going to say that. On an episode.
Drywall. I feel like I've realized there's kind of almost no job I wouldn't do at this point. There. I shouldn't say that. There's probably some that I wouldn't do.
Expert fluffer.
Expert. But yeah, I like doing a lot of different stuff. It's fun. You learn new things when you try new things. But I would tell you, drywall, it's kind of hard. I've done enough of them pretty good now, but it takes a long time. Okay, that's boring. Let's move on to a topic.
All right.
Let's do
All
it.
right, all right.
It's up to you. Just pull the choke, or what is it? The thing? What's the thing that...
It's a pull cord.
Pull the pull cord. There you go. Well, you've done it.
Pull the choke,
get
Mr.
it going.
Fluffer.
And you've pulled that cord 215 times.
Probably
I'm looking
more,
forward to
actually.
this one.
There's a couple of doubles in there.
The topic today are realtors.
Oh, Nelly.
Realtors.
So,
I'll
the
see.
people that help us-
I'll see you guys at the end of the show.
Yeah.
So the people that help buy and sell houses, is that the deal?
Yeah. Another word would be a leech. I'm showing my hand early.
Oh wow! Wow.
Well, you don't think so, Bo? They provide a valuable service.
I'm curious to hear your guys' opinions because you have firsthand experiences with them. And the only way that I know realtors are the god-awful pictures on billboards and stands in the newspapers that just annoy the shit out of me. That's all. That's really my experience with realtors.
There's a lot of those. I will say.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: is like, and this is I think an ongoing thing with realtors. Is because I've used 2 realtors for like buying and selling houses. I like my realtor, but it doesn't make me sort of blind to realtors in general. And I totally have different opinions about realtors in general. And it's hard to detach the two. But the thing is realtors are one of those professions that is always trying to justify the existence of their jobs. I'm not sure if you've ever seen.
We're having technical issues.
Yeah, I'm trying to stall until Hodgins gets back.
Is permanently gone.
Can't we just like throw him back in?
I gotta figure this out. Mike, what happened to you? Is he back?
Yeah, sorry about that. I do not know. My internet just completely fell apart.
So if I had continued talking until he came back,
all right, just give me a second. I'm gonna mark it. All right. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
All right. So back to what I was saying, which is, so like my own realtor, I always end up liking my own realtor, but realtors in general, like in the concept of them, I've always had a sizable amount of issues with. And one of those things is like when somebody is constantly trying to sell you on their job, then it makes you question a lot of the value of the job. And what I mean by that is like here in Canada and stuff, there's a lot of like radio commercials or different sort of programming about like to encourage you to use a realtor. Okay, let's just stop right.
Yeah, we can't do a show because honestly, I'm not gonna have much to say about realtors. We need Mike here to
I have a lot to say about realtors. I'll be honest, but like if Mike's not going to.
Let's get this sorted out because it's. Hello, Michael.
Damn it. His stupid internet, and I bet it's him changing that stupid channel on his stupid modem. That stupid idiot. Is he here? No, okay.
It looks like he's here. This is 2 in call, so I don't think so.
Yeah. That sucks. What sucks is we've been preambling for like an hour, and he was there. He
says he set it up on the Ethernet cable, so I'm thinking it's his laptop.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Stupid laptops.
I think.
I still want to talk about realtors.
Well, chat room, things are going accordingly.
Yes. Hey, who's doing what in the chat room? Let's talk to them.
Oh, Lord Shaper says he was waiting for the old I Attack the Darkness.
What's that?
I don't know. I think that was in reference to our D&D stuff. And then Lord Shaper says, I thought fluffers were obsolete these days due to the blue pill. I don't know what the blue pill is.
Blue pill's Viagra.
Oh.
That could be. But Mike is big into obsolete type jobs, so it wouldn't surprise me if that didn't stop him.
He is a bit of a hipster. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna have to now because now when Michael goes away, my scene gets all screwed up. So
when I go away, does it get screwed up?
No, it just screws up Skype. So let's see. Add window capture.
Well, folks, this is how the sausage is made. It wasn't a Viagra joke.
So let's get a thing going. Let's see here.
Well,
just so they can see both of us, because like the way the overlay works is if there's only 2 people, I don't have a 2-person overlay for this, so it just looks broken.
Really, all that's important is that they see me, but whatever.
Well, there you go. Now it's just a video of a Skype call, and they see you in giant. It's just giant Crofton head.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone, to our Twitch channel. We're currently experiencing technical difficulties.
All right, Michael's back. Hi, Mike.
Okay, it's a hard connect now. I gave up.
Oh, you
know, my computer might be getting to be a piece of shit.
No, were you on wireless?
Really?
Were you on wireless?
I was on wireless.
Oh, I thought you were on Ethernet. You tried to. I thought you were going straight to Ethernet from there.
No, because then I gotta
Okay.
wind up in my basement. So here I am.
How long have you had your modem for?
It's his computer, dum dum.
No, because if he's on Ethernet, it's probably not his computer. That
Uh
rules it out. If he can connect to Ethernet and he's not getting lag, it's clearly his wireless shit. So, anyways,
It's what?
whatever. It's clearly your wireless stuff. If your Ethernet works just fine, it's just I thought you were on your wireless, but apparently you weren't.
Sorry.
You were like,
Off to a rocky
I'm gonna
start.
try. I'm gonna be gamble. Let me try. It's okay. It's all good. The chat room forgives you. Maybe not Lord Shaper. He may not forgive you.
Shall we just go to the part where we draw the random topic and pretend we just drew realtors, or should we continue from where we're at?
No, we can continue because I can like splice it up fine. All right.
Nice,
Maybe
Bo.
I'll do a little thing and say we're recovering from technical difficulties. All right. So let's.
Yeah, I just imagine, like you're watching those shows and somebody just goes insane or whatever. Like the anchor gets up and swears at the production assistant, and then there's the like technical difficulties side that goes up. Like,
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I
You
feel
got it.
like that's what it is. And then when it comes back, Mike has a new background.
All right, here we go. We're spooling it back up, chat room. It's back on. All right, here we go. Actually, while I'm doing this, I'm just gonna do a thing. All right, 3, 2, 1. And we're back. We had technical difficulties, but we're going to get back to the topic of realtors, which I don't have much to say about because I haven't had first-hand experience. But Crofton has, and he's dying to get it off his chest. Hopefully Mike doesn't leave us a third time. Take it away.
So yeah, what I was saying is like I've just bought this house, right? So I dealt with a realtor who's a friend of a friend and all that sort of stuff. Really like nice guy, enjoyed working with him and all that sort of stuff. My previous realtor also enjoyed working with, made the process easier for me and all of that sort of stuff. So I like the realtors I've individually worked with, but at the same time, the whole concept of what a realtor is and what they do and what they take, essentially, I have issues with. And the point that I was trying to make was that, like, realtors are one of those professions that's constantly trying to justify their jobs. And in Canada, you hear that a lot through radio and television ads. Often ridiculous scenarios on the radio and being like, oh, you didn't use a realtor? Well, now you're homeless, and say visit realtor.ca for more information on how to use a realtor or the services realtors can provide. I just feel like when so much effort is put into selling just the concept of your profession, there's probably some question marks at play.
Yeah, like those, if those ads were accurate, it should be like you're in your new home and you trip over a pile of $10,000 and you say, "Oh God, I hurt my hip." I say, "Didn't use a realtor? We could have got rid of that $15,000 for you." 'Cause I just find, like I mentioned earlier, they're leeches, and essentially, especially now, like you said, trying to justify their existence, and that's really, they're a well-established industry because there was a time when it was hard to connect with people who wanted to buy a house, people who wanted to sell a house, et cetera, et cetera. That stuff is clearly done because of the internet. It's very easy to connect with people in many ways, and they are no longer needed. And so for me, it's like, fine if someone wants to keep offering that service in some modified way, but the fact that they work on a commission based on percentage drives me bonkers. Like 5%. And houses these days, like in our city, if you live in a central neighborhood, your house might cost $800,000. Be like, "Oh, I'll take 5%, please." What did you do? You put a fucking ad on a website. That's what you did. And you're like, "I'd like 5% of your $800,000 house, please." Or actually 2.5. I'll split it with another leech who's going to bring someone in to show you the house. I just find the services they provide are not congruous with what they're paid. And they'll say, like, "But we only sell a couple houses a year," and my answer to that would be like, because it's a needless service, and there's like 8,000 of you in any given city.
But wait a second, like, because there's such big purchases isn't it human nature for people to and ha and only pull the trigger when you feel safe? Like, do they provide, maybe not to you as the customer, but generally speaking to a housing market, do they serve as somewhat of a lubricant to unseize the slowness maybe of these transactions?
Well, look, they're in sales.
Right.
They're in sales, but they're in sales in a very particular way that makes them again kind of useless because you have two of them playing off each other. So someone's like, so if you're the selling agent, you're like, okay, let's get your house, let's get it really saleable. Let's get it staged. They'll provide this advice that could easily be got on the internet after a quick Google search, but they'll help you with that if you need help with that, and then. And then so they're like going to sell their house. But the thing is, they're not doing any of the selling because the person that shows them the house isn't them. It's another realtor who's in theory looking out for your interests. So it's like they're like a salesperson not working the right way. Whereas when you go into the car dealership, right, that salesperson is trying to sell you a car, period. Whereas you have these two counter salespeople, one of whom is trying to look out for your interests, and the other person who's trying to sell this house, and it's just kind of weird. Like I just feel like it's particularly strange in that sense.
So I agree with a lot of what Mike's saying, but definitely, like, okay, it is, Bo, you're right. It's a huge purchase, right? So you go in there, and especially first-time home buyers and all that sort of stuff, it's very intimidating, and there's a lot of ins and outs. There's players involved in a home purchase other than the realtor, lawyers, mortgage brokers, all this sort of stuff. The agent provides often a coordination role in that way, and does a lot of little things that makes buying a home easier. Their goal is to represent you and your interests, as Mike said, as best possible. Which is why, like, the one thing that you may put on guard is when they have a property for sale and you're visiting that property, because then they can double dip on that sale potentially, right? So and you worry about them looking out for their interests as opposed to yours. Real estate, I think even good agents, people who are involved who are realtors, who are good agents, because there are good agents for sure, will tell you that there's a lot of bad agents. And the reason why that is because A, the barrier for entry is very low, and B, because there's a lot of ethical challenges in buying and selling houses and being involved in the real estate market, which can be very tempting to do things in sort of dirty ways. And yes, there's regulations, some of them formal setup, some of them sort of like a lot more nebulous. And there's a lot of dirty dealing involved in the realtor industry. But I totally, having used realtors on multiple occasions, I totally understand the peace of mind that they provide. Mike's coming from a point of having bought and sold multiple houses. I have now bought and sold 2 houses. Next time, especially if not so much time passes between the sale of this one and the purchase of the next one, I would probably feel comfortable not using a realtor. Also, I have a house that sells itself. It's in a very hot area of the city. So my house, the last house I owned, sold on day one. My realtor put a sign in front, put an ad on the internet, as Mike said, and the house was sold. So that's great for me, for him, obviously. However, there's some houses that, stay on the market forever, and they are supposed to do more, selling, liaising with other people, bringing people in. Like, that's part of their responsibility. So the value that they can provide could be different depending on where your house is as well.
Even that, you basically said it there, that your house sold itself. It's essentially all houses sell themselves. And it's like, and if they're not selling, it's because the price is too high, or no one wants to live there, or any other number of reasons. And generally, so it's like, when the house isn't selling, it's usually a failure of the realtor who said like, oh, because they wanted to get that commission. They said, I can get you $350 for this house, probably knowing full well that it's worth $260 tops or something like that. Get it on 6 months, and then hopefully chisel them down and say, oh, well, we went in a bit high, let's bring it down, just to get the kind of commission. A house always sells itself, because who's really going to be like, oh, do I need a place to live? But the realtor's like, well, I'll bring you this shit neighborhood. I'm a real good salesman, and there's a house I need to move there. And then the person's like, but I don't want to live in that neighborhood. That it's such a personal thing, deciding where you're going to live. No one is ever actually like selling you, like, I'm going to get someone into this house, I can do it. It's like there's someone out there who will go into that house, and it will be for a lot of reasons. It's affordable, because it's in a crappier neighborhood. That person doesn't mind driving, and they'll say things like, I can find the right buyers. But the reality is, like, there's just a pool of people who are moving around and want to buy. If there's a platform, especially because it's so easy that it does exist right now on the internet, like that, the service is so minimal. Like, they're never even doing, like, the main thing they'll do is like, oh, paint this room or get rid of the piles of garbage you have around your house. And some people might need that service, but most people don't really.
But that on the sales side of a house. And that's a sales side. So you're in two spots with the sales side of a house. Either you're in a great location where you can sell a house, or you're in a shitty location where you need somebody with connections to get as many people through the door. So for me, like, to sell my house, I totally get, not needing a realtor. There is paperwork and stuff that they have to do to sell the house. You have to, like, I know, like, open houses and like stuff like that are not necessarily complicated to do, but like, some people don't want to deal with all that stuff. And I get what you said earlier about the financing, but like, say Bo tomorrow, who's never bought a house, was like, I need to go buy a house. Would you suggest, oh, Bo, don't use a realtor? I would be like, definitely use a realtor.
I already know that's what Mike was saying.
Don't use a realtor?
I don't think he would. I don't think Mike would be like, it's their first time buying a house. There's not much lost in getting a realtor for the buying side of things. Use a realtor. Like, that's what he would say. Now, I could be wrong, Mike. You could tell Bo, as a first time home buyer, who doesn't know much about real estate, oh, don't use a realtor. But I would say that that's probably not the advice you'd give.
But as part of it would be, yeah, I probably would say that. And that is not because I am in favor of realtors or think that as a first-time home buyer.
I'm not saying it.
Or that as a first-time home buyer, you need them in any way. It's more that, as Crofton said, there's nothing lost. And part of that is the fact that, like, it's all realtors. It's like to find the house that doesn't have a realtor, it's like 1% of houses or something like that. It's a bit silly. Like, and if you're on the ball and you find the house that someone put on like Kijiji or whatever, like Craigslist, or you can find those houses. Maybe you buy it right away, but also there's like an army of realtors looking at those ads too, and trying to get their commission that way, any way they can get it. So it's like, I'd say use one, because you almost don't have any other choice, because it's so commonplace. And I just feel like it's so commonplace, and I think still so redundant, in the sense that it's really not needed. And the reason it's so commonplace is because it is basically a giant industry that just keeps rolling, even though its usefulness is gone. But it can't, because it's so established.
I would add to that, because this is the part that grinds my gears, Bo, and it's like a cartel.
Mm-hmm. It's like award shows. I see.
What?
I said award shows are like cartels. To me, the word cartel is synonymous with award shows. Did we do award shows on this show? Yeah.
I just had to have.
So you said cartel, and I was like, award shows. They're terrible. Yeah. Fuck the Oscars. All right. Anyways, sorry. No, they're like a cartel. Okay, I'm listening.
It's like what Mike said. So, for instance, there are now tools and again, we're speaking in the Canada area and stuff like that, but it's a cartel everywhere, I'm sure. So, but realtors grease each other's palms to a certain extent. Like, you get working relationships with other realtors, and it's like you work a beat, you get to know certain areas. Yes, you're perhaps in service of your client, be it somebody looking for a house or selling a house, but like, you're in the business of making it difficult for them to do the buying or selling of a house without you. So what that means is, like, there's a website, for instance, this website didn't used to exist. Like, if I wanted to see listings for house sales, I had to work with a realtor. But now there is a website, as Mike pointed out, that shows all the listings in a certain area, right? But like realtors and realting firms have made efforts to ensure that the listings that go up, and I'm not sure if it's still like this, but it was for a long time, that they get them first before they're made publicly available to everybody else. So why do that? Like, what's the merit, right? Like, why would they get them first and not everyone else? It's to protect their cartel, because otherwise, if we all got the listings on day one, because I'm in a hot area, right? So things sell on the first day. So I see it go up on the internet. I go to see the house, and boom, it's sold already. And I'm like, what the hell? It's because the realty companies are getting these houses first. They're getting their people in first. No joke. That's how I got this house. I got this house before it went public. It was already sold. When they had the open house for this house, people came in and were interested in buying it. It had already sold to us. We got in earlier because our realtor is a good realtor, knew about it, knew that it was going up. But it's all part of that sort of cartel. You grease my palm, I'll grease yours, and we'll ensure that people, like, while there are ways to buy and sell your home without a realtor, we're going to try to make that. It's not necessarily make our service as good as possible, so you will absolutely want to use us. There is an element of that in some realty firms, but there's also a huge element of, we're just going to try to make it difficult for you to not use us. And I have huge issues with that. And like, the website is one example, but like, even if I wanted to, there's a lot of offers on multiple houses, and like playing the agent, and like our agent would be like, I know this agent, and they're going to do it like this, and if you don't know any of that information, you go in with a huge disadvantage. And yes, you could say it's experience and that it's value that they add, but in the end, if there were no realtors on either side and it was just me buying your house or you buying my house, I feel like it would be much simpler. Intermediary, two intermediaries between the two, advocates on your side and on the buyer side, it often complicate things. And I would say, for the amount of sales they enable, they could be potentially compromising just as many sales. Like, if I go up to you, Bo, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to sell you my iPhone for $10, and you're like, I'll give you $5 for it. I mean, like, we work out the sale. But if I have to say to a guy, like, if I have to say to Mike, hey, Mike, can you tell Bo that I want to sell this iPhone for him for $10, and then Mike goes to see you, and you're like, oh, you have to talk to, my sister, and then you say, hey, Bo's sister, Crofton wants to sell. Like, it becomes a telephone game. Like, it becomes like the. And there is value having someone to advocate for you, someone with knowledge and all that sort of stuff. But it's
way more. Yeah, just to jump in a little bit.
Go ahead. Sorry, I've talked a lot.
But I agree with almost everything you said, and especially like protecting their own interests. So I've been around the block a few times with realtors on various sides of this coin. There's only two sides to a coin, but
How many home purchases do you have under your belt in sales?
How many what?
Home purchases and sales do you have under your belt? You must have quite a few.
I don't know.
A dozen?
5 or 6? Not that many, but enough to. Here's an experience I had.
Well, everyone goes through 6.
What? No. I know it's more than a lot of people. So, but that's giving me some perspective.
I'm explaining to the audience why you're a credible witness. Sorry, that's what I'm.
Okay. Yeah. So, I've used a realtor to sell and to buy, and I've also tried to sell without a realtor, and I've tried to buy without a realtor. So I've done kind of almost all the things possible. And I'll tell you, the most interesting experience was the trying to sell your house without a realtor, where it's not so much that, like, because now there's services. So, like, my brother and I own this rental property together, and I needed to get out some cash. to do some renovations elsewhere. So I was like, okay, let's put it up for sale, and we're gonna sell it and split the proceeds or whatever. And he hates realtors too, so like, let's do it. So we put it up on this website. We get viewings from people, but most of the calls are from realtors who basically, are working for, like, they have clients who have just decided, okay, I'm going to get realtor, so I'm not going to ever think about this. I'm looking in this neighborhood, tell me when something comes up. And they don't check the websites themselves or whatever. So then you have these realtors calling us, and because we're selling it ourselves, we don't want to give anyone 5% commission. And so someone will call up, my brother was doing this stuff, and call and say, like, okay, yeah, I got a client who might be interested. What kind of commission do you guys have available? My brother would be like, 1%, and the guy would be like, and the realtor, we had many of these. Realtor would be at 1%. He's like, no. He's like, I will not bring my client anywhere near this place unless I get at least $15,000, or something like that. And you're just like, man, what an asshole, in the sense that you're like, this could be a house that those people would be like, hooray, this is in our neighborhood, it's in our price range, we want it. And you have a person who's supposed to be looking out for your best interest telling someone, you gotta up, because we're selling the house, we're the ones who have to pay. It's always the seller that pays in the system. I will not bring my person to see this house. Now that person wouldn't give a shit, about this. They just want a house, but they're never even going to see it, because we weren't playing the game of realtors. And that was extremely eye-opening to me. And there was people who went out of their way to say, I will make sure your house does not sell, to my brother, which I was like, wow. Now, a lot of these realtors could fall into that category of what Crawford was saying is the bad realtor, but I honestly think this is kind of just realtors feeling defensive of their territory, which is, the housing market is what we do. Don't you mess around in our game here. This is how we make our living. So I think even good realtors will kind of play this angle a little bit, because that's what their livelihood is, and they don't want to see it go away. I understand that, but I always come from it from the point of view of, like, people invest a lot of money in their houses. People spend their whole lives, like my mom recently paid off her house. It took her 30 years to pay off her house. And then she wants to sell it, and someone comes in and is like, hey, I'll take 5% of that. You've been dumping money into it and working your whole life. For what? Putting an ad on? Sell it? And then my other I'll take beef with some of these things is, you look at some of these ads they put on, it's like all caps, grammatical errors of like, must-see house, great neighborhood, you buy now. And it's like, that's what you're paying, like, $10,000 for? It's so, like, some of them are so horrible, and it drives me nuts. Both.
Sorry, I gotta stop you there. There's some, like, crippling audio issues.
He's muted.
Right now.
He's muted.
Yeah. No, there's some crippling audio issues happening right now. I just need everyone to chill for a second.
So I think one of the points that Mike brought up earlier that I just want to tie in here is, because I think if you're playing devil's advocate on realtors, you can talk about how they provide a service. I said, like, Bo, first time home buyer, he would be somebody that I would want like to have guidance or assistance provided to him while going through the purchase of a home. Honestly, I really appreciate it as well. But what Mike has just said in terms of, like, the cartel nature of it, of them doing, like, practical shakedowns on him, saying, like, we're not going to show this house, that's a problem. And it's a problem that stems entirely from the financing structure, which is one of commissions, which again Mike mentioned earlier. So I think all the good things that you could say about realtors, like because they do things and they have made my life easier. It's just that the way they are paid or receive money much more than the service they provide. And, like, the arguments that they could make about, well, it's not that much money because I have to split X amount with the other realtor, I have to split X amount with my realty firm, like, so it goes to Remax or whatever. And I would say to that, well, yeah, it's just, it all goes to realtors in some way, shape, or form. Whereas if you were paying, like, a flat fee or even an hourly wage to the realtor, I think that would sort of, like, to a certain extent, validate the service that they're providing. So it's like, okay, if I've had realtors, especially buying houses, that have put in tons of time with us. I've seen 30 houses at one point. When I bought my first house, I saw like 30 with the same realtor and all this. And eventually we bought a house, and that's great. He made money. But like if we had been paying him an hourly wage, he would have made an amount of money that was in line with the amount of work that he put in. But on the other hand, we could have bought the first house we saw, and then he would have made the same amount of money, right? So it's just like it doesn't reward people for the amount of work that they put in evenly, like their restitution structure. So you get a compensation structure rather. So you get people who like honestly, there's some agents I've seen that just quit on clients or like, okay, it's taken too long here. Or like, even if I sell a house with these guys or buy a house with these guys, like it's not worth the time that I put in. So I'm going to cut my losses here. Right. Because the financing structure doesn't really serve them even super well either. So that's the crux of what makes it not work. And it's what enables the cartel. It's the way that they're compensated.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's like the sales game. And for them, it's probably like a giant endorphin rush, like with when they're like, they make a sale, it's a windfall of cash. It's like sales I find are like that. You have a good year, you have a bad year. My brother-in-law works in sales. He sells like software to big companies, something like that. And it's the same kind of thing. He's got a good year. It's like you making big sales, your commissions are up, but then other years you might have a light year, but that's like, again, we shouldn't be like, that's the way the structure is, but like, so why are we rewarding it? And it's one thing when it's like, sales to among big companies with big products or like manufacturing industry or something like that. But again, it's like people in their houses, and so many people invest essentially their life savings in their house, and it's a lot of people's, frankly, retirement sort of plan is to be like, at some point I'm going to sell my house, and a realtor will say like, well, I'll make sure you get top dollar for it, and that's true to some extent. I mean, it's market driven, so it's only ever going to get the amount of money that the market will bear, and they'll argue that they this is also potentially a bad thing. They have helped drive the market up. Realtors have, and that's probably true, which is a double-edged sword. But the point being is that like if you're giving 5% on your X hundreds of thousands of dollars houses, those tens of thousands of dollars could be something you really need. And if it's a house you've had to take a mortgage out on again because you've had hard financial times, and selling it. Again, those could be $10,000-$20,000 or more. That's a lot of money to some people, even some people who are homeowners, who haven't had the easiest life. And for them to take it for like essentially posting an ad on the internet, being present when someone comes to look at the house. And then it's like, again, people are going to sell the house. And in terms of value, and this is my other experience, like with realtors who let you look around at a house, but they're not. They'll still portray themselves as house experts, but they're not. That's why you get a home inspector, right? They'll say stuff, but essentially, I think they're just kind of echo chambers. If you're like, oh yeah, I like this kitchen, they'll be like, great kitchen. Yeah, this kitchen's good. Look at these granite countertops. That's high quality countertops. It's like, thanks for nothing, you stupid realtor. Or like they'll be like, you'll be like, oh, this basement smells kind of musty. Like, yeah, I wouldn't touch this basement. Like I've seen all this stuff where they kind of echo chamber you because they know ultimately you decide the house you buy. They want to be there to encourage you when you're going down the right track. And I've had the same realtor 2 years apart, so I think that he was not remembering the details of what I was looking for. But I remember going into one basement, and he was like, oh, rubble foundation. Those are great rubble foundations. You can repair a rubble foundation. Those are great basements. And because I was interested in that house. And then 2 years later, I went to this other one, and it was a poured foundation, old house that was poured. He's like, oh, poured, that's the best. You don't want to touch the rubble foundation. And I didn't say this to him, but I was like, dude, I remember when you told me the exact opposite thing because you were smelling a sale. And ultimately, that's what they're there to do, is sell. They're not there to actually make sure you get a good house. They're there to make sure you buy the house that you're ready to buy. And I mean, ultimately, you're going to
from
do
being
anyways.
in the right place at the right time seems to be the argument.
I have a question for you, Bo. like you've been sort of adamant before. I remember about being kind of anti-home ownership. I could be portraying you incorrectly, and let me know if that's the case. Like not being keen on like home ownership and all that. Is any of that based on like do realtors or the fact that are going through the whole sort of realty process, buying a house or whatever?
I can see how you get that impression.
Does that put you off? I guess is my
It's not the main put off. Honestly, the main put off has been, it's just easy. It's easy in a certain way to rent, and okay. So hang on. I'm not anti home ownership. I'm just anti home ownership for me.
right.
It's like
but
it's because it's based in a nutshell. It's just too much hassle. It's really expensive. It sounds like everyone I know who owns a home is like, "What'd you do on the weekend?" Well, I fixed, painted, put up some drywall, or I had to cut my grass, or I had to do this on the house, and I'm like, "Fucking shackle! I don't want that shit. I'd like to live and die without having to be a slave to my fucking house." So
But you could get a condo. Like that's kind of
it's. I guess I don't know. Maybe I will. Like it's been okay. So at one point in my life, my ex-girlfriend and I, we were making over like 100. We were making about 140, 150 grand a year, and each paying like 400 a month in rent. And I'm like, why would I leave? It's dirt cheap. I don't know something. Who cares? I'm paying nothing in rent. I mean, it's a bit of a different situation now that I'm on my own. It's more expensive, and so home ownership starts to look, it's comparable in expenses, right? I suppose, but for a lot of time, I was just personally disincentivized from doing it. And not only are you paying more, committed for, it's a big life choice to move and to deal with realtors, which is part of that annoyance picture. It's just like, why would I make all this hassle for myself just for the pride of home ownership? And I feel like if that's something you want, then do it. I'm very proud of you guys when I hear about you talking about your homes and about your efforts with houses. But I know like it's like there hasn't been a good value proposition for me, and that's so it isn't.
But it wasn't about realtors taking your money necessarily.
No, it's like it's like a gate of hell I hadn't gotten to yet in this calculation, basically.
So, but here's another thing in this, so realtors also get people into rental properties. Like I've seen Remax signs up for rent all around my neighborhood.
What is that?
Well, it's the same thing. And then it's like, so Bo, I've rented places. Did you ever get a realtor to find your rental place?
No.
Yeah, and it's just like, no, some people...
But, like, I live in relative dumpster. Like, I don't... Because they're expensive rentals. Like, you can rent a house for, like, $2,000 a month Canadian, right?
That's cheap for a house, Bo.
Oh, sure, then it's cheap for a house. But I'm basically, whatever the bottom of the rent area is, I try to look for a deal in a good neighborhood, but then it's as low as possible.
So that just strikes me as super. So you haven't used it. I feel like most people who rent don't generally use one, but I know it's available. And then
how do they make money? Like, what's the structure on that?
I don't know how that structure works because I've never approached it with a 10-foot pole because I'm also a landlord, and I'd be like, why the f would I hire a realtor? I put an ad up. I get phone calls like everyone's like, hey, is a place still available? Can I come take a look? I say, sure. I show up, they take a look. I say, okay, this is a place. Do you like it or not? And they'll be like, it's not what I'm looking for. Okay, good luck. And then someone else comes like, actually, yeah, I like this hood. It's a good price. I'll take it. Great. Here's a contract. Done. What is a realtor doing for me?
My speculation on this, okay, is that because I often see these signs on condos, my speculation, it's a big condo company. They have a bunch of condos. They're not selling them, and they are a big chunk of them. They want to list them. They're a big company. They're like, we're not going to go around managing rentals or whatever. We'll just hire this realty firm to do it for us.
But the other funny thing is they're also like if you're going to do that, because like again, I said around my neighborhood, I see there's a couple of houses for rent right now, and these are just one-off houses, so it's not that situation. And I was just thinking in my head like, okay, maybe if you're out of town, you could call a realtor and say, can you take care of this for me? But then if you were doing that, you can also just get a rental management company. Those companies exist where they will find tenants for you and manage all the finances of your rental. Like if that's the service you're looking for, a realtor wouldn't do that. All they would do is get someone in there, and then they'd hire a management company to manage your thing, and you'd pay them money for what? Putting the fucking ad up. I just feel like that's what they're doing. That's what it comes down to these days. There was a time where people didn't know how to connect, and you needed those central offices where people had all these buyers and all these listings, and it was all in paper, and they had in their heads all these different connections. I'll take you this place or that place. I feel like there was a time, and that time is not now. And it hasn't been now for a long time. Like, it feel like the realtors should have died 20 years ago, but they have so much power that you can't be pried out of their hole.
I think Mike's going good on this one.
I'm ready for a verdict.
I think you were ready to verdicts when the topic was drawn. I'm ready to, Bo. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know what did we do last episode? Last episode I was not.
Baby showers. You loved it, Bo.
Yeah, I'm kind of on this run of good grief. Last week was filled with hatred. That was the dark side. This one is more just, I just don't have first-hand experience, so it's hard to speak about it. But, so I feel a little bad.
Mike's on the dark side right now.
I want to bring up one little thing, although it's not really super conclusive, but one of our viewers, Lord Shaper, says he'd prefer to have a realtor to rent from because he has protections with the realtor that he doesn't get as a rentee. But I believe
I'd say you have protection under a legal contract, and that's why you have a lease and laws that protect the renter and protect the tenant and the landlord. And those
could
laws
be different in different areas. Like we're speaking here, right?
I think Lord Shaper is from Australia.
Most Western countries have these types of laws because there's always been bad landlords for sure. And again, a realtor, are they really going to protect you from that terrible landlord? I don't know. They're going to take someone's money. I know that much. That's what they do. Take someone's money.
Yeah. All right. Let's move into verdicts, guys, because I don't have a lot to offer. I don't want to pretend like I have an opinion when I barely interact with them.
It is one of
the
those
only thing I can say is I hate their pictures. I hate their pictures. I fucking hate their pictures. Why can't they ever do anything like a normal picture? They always look so fake and plasticine and Play-Doh like humans. It turns me off from the cause. It's like all the realtors, at least in Canada, but I think throughout the world, had a convention and said, as a group of workers, let's decide how to put people off collectively and come up with these standards. And then it's like this cult thing where it's like, it's like
I actually asked my realtor about this a little bit because there's a couple of realtors in our area that are that I've decided it almost annoys me more when they're not like that. Because there's this guy, it's like the man in a kilt, okay? And he's lying down wearing a kilt and he's like, call me, and there's some sort of kilt pun or something like that. And then there's the twins team or whatever, and it's like these two girls and they're exactly identical or whatever. And it's like everybody has, I guess, a gimmick, and he was like, yeah, like the man with the kilt, he's just trying to differentiate himself. That's
it's like
thing.
Wrestling.
Well, when you see a sign like that, like you can probably think that if he's differentiating himself in that way, it's probably not through service that it reeks a little bit of desperation. So when I see the bland regular ones, I'm like, oh, okay, at least this dude is like a regular dude,
right?
You know,
because
like
you don't want to, realtoring or realting is not wrestling. So you don't want to have someone who has a wrestling strategy doing your home.
But it's also just it's also just has nothing to do with anything. So it's like you go down the street and you're like, okay, house for sale. I want a house. Look at the house. Now there's a picture of some douchebag in a suit. What the hell? It's like you go to it's like you're going to the grocery store and you're like, I want to get a box of cereal. And then there's a box of cereal and then there's a big picture of like Greg Smith, who owns the cereal company. It's like, fuck off, Greg Smith. Put a picture of the Cheerio on the front. Like, why would you buy it for that person's face? It's totally non sequitur. And it's like, oh, that person looks nice, so I'll buy the house. It's like, I'm going to look at the house and say, do I want to live there? Not does this guy with the suit or this girl with the nice hair.
But for the record,
are they going to shake my hand properly? It's just such a silly convention. And again, they cannot let it go. And I will say that some realtors around here don't use pictures at all. And to me, those are the better ones where it's like, it's a sign that says home for sale. Call this number. Thank you. That's what I'm looking for, a home, not your smiling teeth and, you know.
It's part of branding, I'm sure.
Like,
They're like,
but-
I paid
but-
$5,000 for these teeth. I got to put my picture someplace.
But to be fair, I'm not saying maybe you're right, and then in your personal experience, without pictures, is a better experience. I don't know, but it's possible to put a picture of yourself out there that isn't greasy looking. Like the problem is just it's the aesthetic, not the fact that there's a photo. It's the fact that they're tacky. They're incredibly tacky. Hire a social media person or a graphics designer.
That's not
and get with the fucking program. Holy shit.
To Mo's point, like when he's like, there's a way to do your photo and make it look like you're not greasy. So on the right side of my screen right now is the photo that Bo took and tweeted out for this show.
Use that photo.
Okay. That has a uniformly horrible picture of all three of us. And I just like in my mind, that photo, and then underneath, it's like the good, bad, or bullshit realty team, you know, like, and you put it on somebody's lawn, and people will be like, I am not using those guys. Forget that. Give me the greasy guy with the fake teeth and the tie. He looks like he's doing well.
I mean, I guess there's been a behavioral study to show that they may be tacky, but they work. Human nature.
Well,
and that goes back to Mike's argument about them being manipulative dicks that don't need to be there.
Yeah, like I'm sure that there is stuff about, like, in sales, it's like, get someone to know your face, get them to know you, and then you get in once with a realtor. I have this one realtor, I haven't talked to him. Every year I get a Christmas card with a picture of his goddamn face, and I'm like, I don't know you, and I don't want to see your face at Christmas time. We're not friends. You took money from me in order to show me a house. Like, it just, anyways, okay, let's get to verdicts.
Let's get to verdicts. But I just wanted to tirade on the pictures a bit, because
good. I'm glad you did.
That's all I know about realty.
It is.
Oh wait, what, Mike? Wrong. What are you doing? Mike? You gotta bring in the farm animal.
Yeah, I knew that thing had been pulled more than that.
Shit, Mike. Come on. What else can go wrong in this episode? Seriously.
I know it's been. I hit it with my foot. It started up.
I said,
Order in the court. Order in the court.
I will go first because.
Hey, can I just add one thing before you go?
Yeah, go ahead.
To Bo's point about, like, you know, not knowing much about realty folks, when I was a kid, you know, you'd watch like hockey or whatever, and there'd always be like car commercials. And as a kid, they'd always be like, you know, get for 3.2 down and 0% financing, 0% and whatever. And there'd be all this information that as a kid, you're like, what is this shit? What the fuck are they talking about? Like, it was so confusing, and it was so like in the realm of like, they're clearly selling to adults. And there's so many things like that I'm learning now as an adult, like mortgage brokers and realtors and lawyers and all of the shit that they do. But if you don't use them, like Bo hasn't, and you're on the outside and you're sort of blissfully unaware, it must just look like
The
gobbledygook and almost incomprehensible. And that's part of the cartel nature. It just feels like, it's so intimidating if I don't get one of these people. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, there is that stuff, but it amazingly, it sorts itself out pretty well once you buy a house, because, you know, you get a lawyer, they'll tell you what you need to know.
Right.
You know?
Order in the court.
So,
give verdicts.
Realtors are the solution to a problem that no longer exists, and that's the type of solution we don't need. Basically, you want to sell your house, you need to connect with someone who wants to buy a house. There's a thing called the internet, which is a great place to connect with people you don't know, and there's lots of good ways to do so. And these people are they're just leeches who are the vestige of an old antiquated system of selling and buying houses. They can't let go, and they're there because they want your money, and they know there's a lot of it to be had because of the system. So this whole cabal, as Crofton kept calling it, which
cabal.
Cabal.
I like that word.
It's like a little club of realtors. Needs to go away and die. It's bad. It's bad for buyers, and I think it's bad for sellers. But it's good for realtors. But fuck them.
All right, I'm going to go next. I'm going to let Crofton wrap it up, but I just want to say a couple things. Real brief. Mike just said the internet was great and used the internet to prop up his entire verdict against them. That's how bad it is. As you know, Michael's not a fan of social media and various internet things.
He also said something nice about lawyers.
Yeah, lawyers and internet, and this is like, and then like realtors. Like
that's like, how much I hate realtors. It's like he puts the perspective on it.
Anyways, I thought that was funny. All right, again, I don't know too much about realtors other than I hate their stupid photos, and based on what Mike and Crofton said, they sound pretty irritating. I'm not like a big money saver. Like some people really get off on like, oh man, you can buy the bananas here for 85 cents a pound, but if you go down the street, you'll get them for 79 cents. You're a fool to buy them for 85 cents. And it's like, and I'm the kind of person that's like, whatever, I'll just pay the 85 because I'm too lazy to go, or who cares, or I can't be bothered. So I feel like I'd use a realtor because maybe I'd be too lazy to not do it. But for the most part, I think they sound stupid. So but I don't know enough to say they're. Do I though? Yeah, based on the photos, they're bad. They're bad. That's good. That's enough. They're bad. That's bad. Realtors are bad. Get out of town, realtors.
Oh, you came through.
So here's the thing about realtors, and that is tricky. And it's what I opened with. It's like there's a lot of them that I like individually and that have helped me. However, what I find frustrating is the way that they're compensated. And I think that a lot of the problems stem from that, and it has created a culture in which they're looking out for themselves as a collective. I'm not saying that individual realtors don't look out for individual clients. I'm just saying that they are looking to constantly protect their profession. And the fact that they have to go to such lengths to do it raises significant questions. I think that first-time homebuyers and other homebuyers want the peace of mind of having somebody that has a lot of experience in this field to go with them, to guide them through the home buying and selling process. I truly believe this is stuff that people want. I just bought a house. I'm really glad I had a realtor to do it because that's how we're structured right now. I would not have been able to get this house without a realtor. I'm pretty confident of that fact. Not because the realtor is some sort of voodoo magician or whatever, but because the cabal is structured in such that I wouldn't have even seen this house had I not had access to that realtor, right? So I'm not against the idea of advisory personnel helping you, that you can hire, that will help you understand and navigate the home buying process. But the current way in which it's set up, with the compensation being done through like a percentage of the sale, and the fact that it is that big money toxicity has led to a situation where across the board, internationally, realty is like big budget cartel that is out to protect itself. And because of that, I'm gonna skew negative in my verdict, but it's not negative based on like, the individual people that are going out and helping. And I would still recommend in many cases people use a verdict. But I am frustrated at the situation that we're in where that is necessary. So for that, I'm going to say realtors and realty in its current state is bad.
Oh my God.
Full spread.
No, that's not a full
it's
spread.
not a full spread. That was all three the same.
I meant unanimous. All of us the same. Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry.
So that means like a unanimous verdict is pretty strong condemnation when it's all, especially with us. Because you got my vote on the bad. I was gonna bullshit. Cause I'm like, I don't know enough. I'm like, no, I know all I need to know from those pictures.
The picture tells 1,000 words, 1,000 terrible words in the case of a realtor. If you would like to get in touch with us and send us 1,000-word email about why realtors suck, we would love to hear from you. If you're a realtor and you want to write to us and tell us about the value realtors provide, just go fuck off because we don't want to hear from you. You can get in touch with us. Go to @goodbadbull or goodbadbull.com. Sorry, that's our website. You can find all the ways to reach us there. The email is goodbadbull@gmail.com. We would like to hear from you unless you're a realtor. You can send us a tweet at goodbadbull. You can like us on Facebook if you want to do that. And if you haven't subscribed to the show, you can do so. Google Play, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts. We would love to have you subscribe. And of course, we do have a Patreon account and some wonderful patrons who help keep this show chugging along. So patreon.com/goodbadbull. If you want to contribute anything. If you don't want to contribute anything, the show's always going to be free. Just enjoy listening if you do.
Yeah, but if you do join, you'll join the ranks of people like my mother.
Oh, valued patron.
Patron.
Long-term.
Ryan Murphy,
patron.
one-time guest Ryan Murphy. Also a good count amongst the greats.
Should bring him back.
And, yeah.
One day. Yes, we should have. It's been a while since we've had a guest, so we should have one.
Should have
But guys,
Scott
if people want to get in touch with any of you individually, Bo, where can people find you?
You can find me on the internet, on Twitter specifically, at Bo Schwartz. And let me tell you this. I'd love for anyone to follow my Twitter account, except realtors. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm not sure the same vitriolic bent as Mike. It's a dialogue. We have to have a dialogue. But have it not on my Twitter account.
No, realtors, let me speak for Bo. Just fuck off. We don't want to hear from you. Crofton, where can people get in touch with you?
Well, let me tell you something, Michael. They can follow me on Twitter at Crofton Steers.
Well, what happened to all the steam?
He's a wrestler.
He ran out of stamina so quick. Let me tell you, Michael.
I'm a wrestler that runs out of stamina.
He's so unused to flexing his muscles that when he did that, it was just like, okay, it's done. I gotta go back.
Let me tell you something, brother.
And if you're a realtor and you want to murder me in my sleep and find out where I live, well, you can't do that because I'm only on Twitter at ML Hodgins, though not for much longer. Anyways, I enjoyed that. It was cathartic for me. I hate realtors. What are you laughing at? The Twitter? Yeah,
you said that with such sinister macabre. Although
once I murder the head of Twitter, there will be no Twitter.
I don't need to do that. Twitter's killing itself, isn't it?
I don't know.
Oh God, you're just sunshines and rainbows today.
I know. Realtors, they do that to me. They're the worst.
They just take out all your love for life.
I gotta hate on today. What can I say?
Yeah. Ever since this topic has been in the random topic generator, and every once in a while I look at our long list of fuel in it, and I look and I'm like, when that topic one day comes out, that will be a good day for Mike. But then of course random technical problems impeded your.
Oh well.
It might have been the Realtors Association.
They're like hacking into it. They have like live updates. Someone's saying bad things about realtors. We gotta shut them down.
Shut him down. Blow his mixer right now. Blow it up.
All of a sudden, tomorrow morning, you wake up and on all of your properties, the worst neighbors have suddenly moved in next to all of them, and your value plummets.
Actually, you know what would be creepy? If all the realtors heard this and I woke up in the morning and in my front yard there was like 500 realtor signs with all of their pictures on them. I'd be like, what's happening to me?
That'd be a good Black Mirror episode. That'd be great. Yeah.
I got to. You guys see? I put this out on Twitter, but like when I moved into my new house, there's like this glossy magazine called The Neighbors of Westboro. Westboro's the area I live in. And it was in my blog. It's like today profiling the something family or whatever, and they're all like, there's this photograph of the family that is literally. The reason they're on the cover is because they live in Westboro or whatever. And it's all glossy pages, and I'm going through it, and it's like profiling all sorts of community stuff and all that. And I'm like, man, this is a realtor's
really happens. How much really happens in Westboro to justify? You know what? It's probably a realtor that runs that magazine at a loss to make sales on houses. Guaranteed.
You know the Ottawa Sun, which is sort of a sleazebag newspaper that we have here in Ottawa.
That's one of our finest news publications.
It's an institution of Canadian literature.
At least when I took the bus, had like all the like 1-800-sex lines like at the back. At the back.
Don't forget the Sunshine Girl.
Yeah, well, the Sunshine Girl was generally at the front, but you get to the end and there would be like I don't know if sex lines still exist with the internet now existing, but like back in the day, it was like the last 5 pages were all like, call this for some hot sex chat or whatever. And I always was of the belief that they were funding the Sun. Well, like this Neighbors of Westboro, like you get to the last 3 sex pages of this, what would be the Sun. It's all realtors. It's all realtor stuff. So for sure, they're the sex numbers.
They've taken over the sex lines of the magazine.
Yeah, I know. I tell you.
And I guarantee you, it's a realtor or an association of realtors that make that magazine. Of course it is. You're really doing yourself a disservice by even looking at it. You should torture.
That's why they would say, like, well, we don't actually make that much off your money because we have to pay for all these stupid publications to entice other people.
But it enriches your property value by living. How many people can say they live in a neighborhood that has its own magazine? I mean, that's like easily an extra $100,000 on your as soon as you decide to sell, right there.
Let me tell you something, brother. We have magazines in all areas of this town, but none are as glossy as the ones in Westboro, brother.
I like how that'd be the person who puts the glossy magazine together.
All right, I think we're just gonna end on you doing that. I can't get over how ridiculous that is, though.
Yeah. No, whatever.
And what's going on with the family that agreed to be on the cover? Like, are you going to be on this magazine, Crofton? Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, you will.
If they come,
yeah, you will. Yeah, you will.
Door,
you should be in it. We can promote good, bad, or bullshit. As long as they agree to make good, bad, or bullshit. Like,
yeah. Local podcasting celebrity.
Well, here, look. I would tell you something
what's their
funny.
website?
I forgot to tell you guys. I forgot to tell you guys this, but when I bought this house I live in now, the realtor asked if she could take her picture in front of the sign, and we were like, sure. And then we had friends who said, hey, I got a pamphlet in the mail, and you were on it. And it was like, yes. Now, I might have said, oh, yeah, you could use that picture. I can't remember.
You probably signed your soul away somewhere.
I probably did. I don't care too much. I mean, I'm extremely handsome, so that's probably why they're like, this guy will sell some houses.
So let me get this straight. She took the photo in front of the sign with you. Like, did she have her arm around you, being like, I satisfied this homeowner?
It was me and it was Andrea and I, and next to like this, I don't know, sold sign or something. I don't know. And then they used it as promotional material to be like, look, we sold someone a house. Use us to sell you a house.
A young couple. And it gives. See, here's the deal. It gives the impression that young couples can afford to live in that area when it's totally bullshit.
Yeah.
Bo he's like, I've used up all my realtor house energy.
Yeah.
I'm actually, I commend Bo. Unlike the baby showers, you were definitely in on this.
Play along a little bit.
He tried to play along.
But I mean, like realtors, he's got no interest in. But he hates anything to do with family or relationships or things like that. They distract from the real value of life, which is logging hours on your favorite game.
That's funny. It's kind of true though.
One day you two will murder each other, and I will watch.
No, we won't. We're friends because we're different.
Yeah. We're going to be the same. Also, we're adventuring brothers in Dungeons and Dragons.
That's true. We're
totally not plotting on how to curtail you and Breck's enthusiasm in the game.
Though clearly those barbarians need to be reined in.
Yeah. Well, I'll just tell you now because it's not an actual secret. But I was like, Mike, I think at level 3 or 4, I'm going to get the sleep spell and cast it on Crofton before every encounter, so I can find the possibility if there's a social aspect, and then I can wake him up. Sleep only lasts for 1 minute, so you won't be out very long. Just enough for me to maybe prevent you from running into a room.
God damn it.
Well, I'm telling you that because I probably won't do it.
Hey, I was thinking, because in that my whole role-playing thing that I was talking about earlier, because I was thinking about, like, if you were playing a character on your show, There Will Be Dungeons, Bo, available at therewillbedungeons.com, part of the Frog Pants Network. If you were playing a character on that show that was arachnophobic, you just decided, like, say I just decided my character was arachnophobic.
Yeah.
Then in that situation, like all on the stairs when they're getting attacked by spiders, I'm just like I run away. Like in my turn, like I'm running, like I run away to bed in my party. But nobody would do that. Like it's funny. That's what role playing is. You got to be true to your character, not be like, oh, I got to save my friends. No, fuck, I'm scared of spiders. I'd be out of there.
Yeah. No, I know, but it's hard balancing what your character is and just trying to be cool when you're playing or whatever. It is tough. It's not easy. But I read the coolest thing. So necromancer wizards can summon skeletons. So I'm like, oh man, while I'm playing guitar, I can get zombies to hold me up and ride on. They can carry me while I walk.
Yeah, but that'll be some high-level check, and you'll roll a 2, and then they'll collapse and pile of bones.
No, they last 24 hours. They're good for 24 hours.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean... But then, yeah, they're going to last, but you're going to be like, I don't want them to carry me around. And then Ian's going to say, okay, let's do a charisma check on your thing. And you'll be like, I rolled a 2. And you're like, okay, well, they pick you up, and then they struggle, but because they're made of bones and they have no ligamenture... then they crumble into bones, and you fall into a ditch, and your loot smashes onto your head, causing you 1d4 of damage. Bo rolls a 4.
It's Ian. Ian's fair. It's not me. I'm the one you got to watch out for. You guys are traumatized by me. I'm a dick to players.
No. I think you're pretty fair. I played enough games with you, and you're harsh when you need to be, and you're fair.
I totally think our dungeon master's out to get me.
I think he can be harsh. I think he will be harsh. I think what's happening is he's got to represent the universe, and make no mistake, his responsibility is, if you're going to do insane things like in life that pushes people's buttons, and that causes the universe to push back, he's got a fiduciary duty to represent that, and that doesn't mean you should stop. That means it's like if I went out in the street and started running at people as soon as they gave me a dirty look, like the cops would come, and I'd have to run at them too. I wouldn't suddenly stop running at people, but my life would get very hard. And
that's what's happened to Robin's character, be getting caught with traps and whatever.
Got traps, hit by a tidal wave in a cave of all places.
He's getting punished for it, so that's good.
So hang on, you know what? You're a druid, right, Mike? You didn't go ranger. You went druid.
Druid.
Right. Is there anything you can do to can you turn him into a bear or something like that, or like?
Oh, I can turn myself into a bear and.
Oh, but is there an animal that you could ride him? Like he could be your horsey. Can you turn into
I'm not going to be his horsey.
Turn into a leopard and then ride on him and then do your jump attacks off of he's basically a force of nature. So I'm slowly gathering that through our gameplay sessions, if we have more of them, we won't be able to control Crofton. He's gonna be like a hurricane or something. It's just some shit you're gonna have to deal with. So I'm like, what can we do? I'm like, I'll toss.
There may be ways to use him. I feel like he just goes in and finds out what things are and then almost dies. The thing is, he's been counting on my sweet gooseberries to help him get healed, but I can't. Who was I was only telling this to Bo, but Crofton. I've decided everyone is like, oh, you're a druid. You have to be all hippie and in love with nature.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
It is bullshit. It is bullshit. That's
Nature's harsh, man.
Druid.
Harsh. You make wrong
decisions,
you die. That's how nature works.
One of my all-time favorite D&D things is when I was playing the rogue halfling in our last session, and I poisoned you, Hodgins.
It was so obvious, though.
It wasn't obvious. You didn't know it at first. You were like,
Well, you're so easy to read because all you do is fuck people over.
Yeah, but by the way, one of the things I didn't do in our play session that I should have paid more attention to was forcing alignment changes. Because if you're not role playing correctly, sometimes a lot of what you did was pretty much chaotic evil, and yes, do you mean as the halfling? For no reason other than the lulls of it, stealing something, planting it on another character, and then having someone else take the fall for no reason other than your own entertainment. Is chaotic evil. I'm pretty sure.
It's chaotic for sure.
It's selfish.
It's also evil.
Evil people can love. Evil people can be heroes. But evil people put themselves first most of all. And make no mistake, That was an evil action.
What was my alignment in that?
I
don't
don't,
even
I don't know.
remember.
We didn't pay enough attention
I
to
think
it.
it
but
was evil.
I'm
It
paying
has
a
to
little
be.
more attention to it now because I'm looking for dissonance.
I'm
And-
chaotic neutral right now.
Yeah,
As the
yeah,
as
but
the
Don't worry.
barbarian.
you haven't done
You'll slide
anything.
evil.
You haven't done anything kind of evil, but you're leaning evil. Like we were supposed to deliver those goods intact, and what you did was eat them, drink a bunch of beer, eat a
I was
bunch of
hungry.
salted meats, and then not tell anybody about it or own up to it for no reason except your own satisfaction.
And
Is
then you try to
evil.
cover
It's
it up.
you're
To my-
The fact
To
you
my
could cover
knowledge,
it up.
I haven't been caught yet, so you guys shouldn't even know that information.
But yeah, well, we're not in character there at the moment. But the fact that you tried to cover it up, because for a second I was going to say your character's supposed to be extremely dumb, and that could work in his favor. But he would have been too dumb to try to cover it up. He would have just said, "Well, I'm hungry."
Yeah,
So
like you meant
that
it like an
is
innocent big kid. I think he's still. I don't think he's evil yet. I'm just saying that's an example of something that would, given repetition of it, would say like, okay, you're evil. You're just putting yourself.
And it's gonna be hard
first.
not to,
Yeah.
because that's because Crofton, I'm starting to think, is actually evil and and can't do it in real life. So he's like, I must be evil in
To be
gameplay.
fair, Breck might be evil too because he has the same homicidal tendencies that you
Well,
do.
aren't all of those alignments? I thought they were all chaotic evil.
So
we're all chaotic neutrals.
yeah.
I'm just neutral. Why are you all chaotic? God,
Actually,
you guys
I
would be
think
the
I
worst
think I might be
individuals.
switch. I might be resetting my alignment because, as an artist, I'm not really like I'm interested in different codes. But lawful doesn't necessarily mean like the law
and
of the
you s-
land.
yeah,
it can just
you're-
mean
you should be-
adherence to a code. So I might be lawful neutral, or
But what would-
potentially
yeah, 'cause
lawful
you
evil.
should be focused. You're focused on something. The whole reason you're doing the adventuring is to learn and build your craft. You're a
Right.
very focused person.
But I'm developing next. I think I'm going to multi-class into wizard and go like necromancer, because Darwinius Rex, the role I'm studying, he also mastered the powers of undeath, and I need to follow in his steps. And I think maybe I'm going to end up being lawful evil or something along those lines. We'll see. The ends justify the means, Michael. I'm performing the greatest role of my life, and if someone or a person or
Don't
two,
go into
if a
fucking
person or
character
two
now,
has to die and be brought back to life and undeath for me to learn the secrets to perform this role, then that's worth the cost.
What's Bo's character's name again?
Euphemius, my name is Euphemius Zoranda. I'm the greatest actor in the land. Have you not heard of me, sir?
That's right.
I also like how I can't remember any of your character names.
I'm
Yeah.
Erasmus the Hatchet.
Yeah, I will never remember that. They all meld into each other.
It
and what's
sounds
Breck?
like a thug's name. Erasmus the Hatchet.
Did you use a name generator to come up with that?
No. Came up
Okay.
with it myself.
You did.
I did.
I used
Because I'm the knife thrower. Remember my back the axe thrower, remember? From the wrestling carnival? Anyway, whatever. Screw you guys.
It's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to playing again, actually. 'Cause
Yeah, so why can't we play sooner? What's the deal?
Logistical issues.
Like, why can't we play this weekend?
Breck can't.
Oh.
and we have we.
He's just
I
so
just
sort of
haven't. We
adult
haven't.
life.
We didn't hear from Ian about this weekend either. I don't think.
So
Ian,
he did say it was too. Some felt like a long.
yeah,
way.
I feel like Ian would be like good for wherever. Anyway, I feel bad putting our Twitch followers through this right
No,
now.
Yeah,
man,
no one
they're,
else
they're
would
like
listen.
happy. Discordia Dog has watched. I saw her in the chat for There'll Be Dungeons, and I think I seen her on her Twitter account. We got her. We should be getting commissions from Wizards of the Coast because I think she bought a bunch of D&D stuff. There.
Well, it's fun stuff.
Yeah, so this is the right audience for it. And
Hey,
honestly,
did you guys do the
like-
Hero Forge thing?
No, I didn't buy one.
no,
if that's what you meant,
no,
but I
I'm
mean
not.
to.
Yeah, I'm not
Did
doing
you?
it.
No, I didn't buy one yet. I haven't screwed around with it, but I'm like if you guys all had done it, I would be like, well, fuck, I'm not going to be the only one without
Well,
one.
Breck did, so I don't
Yeah,
know. I
yeah.
think we should, but
I don't know. I mean, I guess
whatever. It's more that it's funny. Like that's the main reason.
We should live.
Yeah,
we should live
it
stream
is
our
funny.
D&D. That's what I think. But Ian,
What?
Breck's too shy. We should live stream our D&D.
Is it Breck who doesn't want to?
Breck's shy. Breck's the one that's shy. I didn't know about Ian. Ian didn't really comment.
I doubt he's into it.
I don't give a shit. I'd do it.
I know. Well,
I'm indifferent
we're
about
on the internet already, anyways. Since we're comfortable
Yeah,
with the
no.
idea.
Bracky is surprisingly shy. It's crazy.
Huh. He doesn't seem shy.
No, I know,
All right.
but like he's.
But let's
Yeah,
not.
let's let the Twitch people.
We're gonna let
off
the
hook.
Twitch people go. Twitch people, you are dismissed.
Thanks for listening.
But thank you so
Thanks,
much
guys.
for listening to the show and hanging around for the after show. And we really appreciate. And Michael's very happy. You're probably not realtors, so
Not what?
thank you.
Realtors?
Realtors.
Well, I don't know. Maybe one of them is.
And thanks for pointing out the audio issues. That was clutch, you guys. That whole show would have gone on if you weren't here with the audio issues. So, props to you. All right.
Cool.
Salutations. Bye. 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 Bye.